you became one of the youngest Fortune 500 directors. Is that correct?
Correct. People even say like you're wasting the company's money. They signed a contract in one trip and that was 30 million USD. I was getting promotion every 6 months basically, from junior broker to senior broker, associate director to director. I would rather do less projects, one every quarter, but we make 40-50% margin. Every new investor or new business partner we bring on board, we'll always ask these 3 questions. If it doesn't match with our philosophy, we're just not going to do it.
Assuming you're a property developer, because why else would you be tuning into this podcast, and you're looking to become a better developer, then you won't want to miss our show this year. At our shows, you'll have the chance to listen to live expert speakers, network with like-minded professionals, and meet new service providers who can help you grow and perfect your property business. With Milton Keynes behind us, we're on to our next location in Bristol on the 30th of April, followed by Birmingham on the 16th of July, Manchester 10th of September, and finally Leeds on the 8th of October. The show is created by developers for developers, and the most amazing thing, tickets are completely free. Visit our website propertydevelopershow.co.uk to book your ticket today. Welcome to another episode of the Property Developer Show, the podcast. Today I'm joined by Elton Leung, who is a former broker from the city, turned property investor. He's got a portfolio that is worth millions and a pipeline that is also worth millions. So we're looking forward to getting into the transition from working in the city to property. Elton, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me today.
Absolute pleasure. You made the trip up from London. I always appreciate that. Obviously, the north. Hopefully, you've not had too much of a nosebleed on the way up.
Not really. It's quite a smooth journey, about 3 hours, smooth train journey.
Happy days.
Great.
So we'll jump straight into the action and sort of start with the story. Because, it's the listeners have got a bit of context. I saw you speak at Milton Keynes Pin, and I do a lot of like property networking, and I go to a lot of events and see a lot of people talk, and it's not very often that I get sort of blown away by an individual. And
Thank you.
And yeah, genuinely, I was like, wow, this story is amazing. I've got to firstly, I've got to get him on the podcast, number one. And number two, I think to share that journey, particularly in the detail that we're going to go into today, I think there'll be some really key lessons, I hope, that people can sort of take away from it. So we'll start with what you shared at PIN in terms of like your journey into London working as a broker.
Yes. So, let me start my story from right at the beginning. So believe it or not, I'm actually a musician myself. So I actually found out my music talent at the age of 7. So at the time it was Titanic, the movie Titanic. And then I was listening to the radio. Yes, you still got radio back at the times. And I was listening to My Heart Will Go On, the music. And I went up to the piano after listening to the radio, and then I played the full song, left hand and right hand on the piano, and then I actually blown myself away as well. So I was like, "Wow, what just happened?" And then I realized I have this musical gift, and I then continue my academic journey throughout GCSE A level, and then every school I went to was with a music scholarship. Then when I come to university, I told my parents I wanted to do music. And my parents, being very typical Asian parents, was like, no, you either be an engineer, you either be a doctor, you either be a lawyer or accountant, like pick. And I was like, no, I really want to do music. And I have no choice, but otherwise they wouldn't support me financially for my tuition fee. So I gave in. I studied computer science and also a bit of finance on the side. But then the music journey actually helped me lay a really solid foundation in my music career, which is still going on. But it's not for today to share, but I've a lot more to share on the music side. So I started my journey as my professional career as a computer software engineer at the beginning. And it was a contract. It was a very short contract and it ended. Then I need to look for another job. Then somebody recommended me to go into risk management and insurance. So I went into a FTSE 250 company as an underwriter in insurance and risk management. And and then I stayed in the commercial insurance industry for the next 15 years or so. Mm-hmm. So I want to share an interesting story how I moved from the FTSE 250 company to the Fortune 500 company as a broker. So it was one day a broker rang me. We were chatting about business, asking for business, etc. And I realized this company and this particular broking team, the whole team just left the company. So a team of 5 left with one person, technically. And she was really desperate to recruit new members. And she was talking to me on the phone. She was asking, okay, I need to get this business done. And then we were just chit-chatting. And then I asked her, how was the recruitment journey been? And she was like, oh, it's really tough. People don't want to leave job. They're asking for really expensive salary. We can't afford it. And then I was like, just normal chit-chat. And then I hanged up. I was like, yeah. And I moved on to my day job. And then suddenly it hit me. It was like, she's looking for somebody to hire. And I might be looking to switch jobs. So like, should I ask her like for a quick coffee and see where the synergy are? And then I actually, like, my heart was beating at the time, and then I used the company phone, must be recorded all things, and then I picked it up and I was like, okay, like you mentioned about you wanted to recruit somebody, like what kind of person you're looking? Like, shall we catch up over coffee? Maybe I have somebody to introduce, which is myself. And then I hanged up, and then I actually went out with my CV printed in my bag. And I went up to her like, okay, so what type of people are you looking to recruit? And what's the synergy? What are you looking? And what do you look for these people to help you in a job? And she explained all that. And I asked her the question, so how about me? What do you think about me? And then she was like, okay, now I get you. Like, why do you want to arrange a coffee? And I gave her my CV. She said she's going to review that and get back to me. She's actually a head of a team, and she's a director of the Fortune 500 company. And it was on the first day afternoon, and she rang back on the Friday, the next day, and said, "Do you want to come to the office for like an interview or a brief chat with the CEO, etc." And then I was like, of course. It just happened. My next Monday, I've already had the study leave. You know, like when you work for corporate, they have some days allowance for you to study for your chartership. So I had that on the Monday, which coincidentally. So I went up to their office on the Monday discreetly, because everybody worked very close to each other. So, and I met with the CEO, the vice CEO, the head of cluster, and also the director. And we had a great catch up, and also some kind of interview as well. And she said she's going to call me back. So I went back home. I just couldn't work. I couldn't study. I was walking up and down my sitting room, waiting for that phone call. And she actually called 2 hours later, and she said, "Elton, I think you're a great fit to the team. We would like you to join on board. So what's your salary?" And I said, X. Okay, we'll double that. We want to join. And like, my physical reaction was like jaw dropped, and yes, yeah, so happy. And afterwards, I thought, like, if she managed to offer me double, maybe I can negotiate a little bit more. But not to be greedy, but joke aside, I think that was a great offer. And also that is a turning point in my career, because that, again, it shows that actions actually reinforce results and reinforce your confidence. So is a positive cycle. So that encouraged me to take more actions in my career. So that was the first turning point, and I'm going to share a few more later.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot to sort of for us to unpick in this episode, and I think particularly around that confidence piece, I think it will lean quite nicely into the sort of trajectory of your career in a sense of where it sort of led to. So do you think, without sort of giving away what we're going to discuss too much, do you think that confidence has played a role in your sort of evolution as a person within that sort of career?
Definitely. As I said, because taking action. A lot of people talk about massive action, but without seeing the results coming back, it kind of hit a lot of people not to be persistent, continue with the massive action. So I think that kind of great demonstration of I took the action and the results, and they helped me to spiral upwards in my career, into my mental determination as well. That definitely helps.
Because from that opportunity, you became one of the youngest Fortune 500 directors. Is that correct?
Correct.
So do you think that confidence piece fed into it, just added to that momentum?
That's right. That's actually coming on to the second story. My second biggest turning point in my career as well, which I'm about to share, is so I joined a company, doubled my salary. It wasn't much because my base salary on the first job, that was relatively low, but I was very happy joining the Fortune 500 company. And it's not about the money; it's about the experience and about seeing the world, because it's a global company. So the things you see, it's really different. Yeah.
Was that kind of the mindset at the time, or was that you sort of looking at it in a backwards way, or were you like, oh my God, the money, this is all about the money, or was it, okay, the money's nice, but the experiences are better?
Yeah, it's definitely looking back.
Sure.
Because a lot of the time when you're at the situation, you don't know what to expect. You kind of got pushed along the way, but afterwards, when you start reflecting on the experience, you start realizing, wow, like I'm so lucky I got this opportunity to look at it. And also because a lot of people working in a big corporation, they got pigeonholed into the day-to-day task. So I was very lucky, and also worked really hard not to be pigeonholed or not to get molded into the specific gear. I constantly seeking opportunity, and constantly stepping on people's toes and foot all the time. So let me share with you. So I joined a company, and then I was working 9 to 5 as usual. I was always proud. I was like, look at me, I'm a broker now, and work in the city in a nice suit and tie. And and one day I was again having this study leave, studying for my chartership, and I was having this idea in my head about a business opportunity, and I was thinking it all day, and I start writing it on a piece of paper. Then afterwards, it kind of start making sense. So I start converting from this piece of paper to an A3 spider diagram. I start drawing diagram. Wow, this actually works. So I really need my manager to hear this out. And I put together a business plan. So at the time I was around 23 years old. I have no idea how to put together a business plan. So I searched online, what structure, what do you expect from a business plan? So I typed it all up, PowerPoint, and I printed it all out. The next day, I actually stayed up all night as well, so I didn't have much sleep. I showed it to my manager, and she didn't even look at it. She was like, "Wow, well done, Elton. Like, I'm sure this is a great plan, but you know what? Like, I assigned some tasks for you to do this week about A, B, C, X, Y, Z. Have you done those yet?" And I was like, "Not yet." "Oh, can you just focus on the tasks I assigned you, and we'll talk about your plan later?" And I was like, "Oh, this is not right. Like, I need somebody higher up to see this plan, because I really think this will do big things." And I was reading stuff and thinking outside of the box. How can I get this to the right people? And I pulled a quite a clever trick here. It wasn't exactly like this, but it was along along the tactics. Like I went to the ED, so the executive director, and he obviously is too busy to see me, so I went to his secretary. I told her that the CEO or the vice CEO is looking to meet with the ED 3 p.m. Wednesday, room free. And the secretary said, yeah, okay, I'll jot it down on the calendar. And I went to the vice CEO secretary. I was like, the ED want to meet with the vice CEO Wednesday, 3 p.m., 3 o'clock, like room free. And they both booked in the calendar, and they both turn up 3 p.m. Wednesday, room free. And I dragged my manager along as well. And everybody turned up. They were like, what is this all about? And then I turned up, and they was like, who are you? And I was like, okay, since everybody's here in the room, don't panic. And they were about to leave the room. It was like, I didn't sign up for this. I should leave. And I was like, don't leave. Like, you have half an hour blocked anyway on your calendar. Can you just hear me out? And I given them my business plan, and I actually put it in my card as well as a junior broker. Hand it over to them. They kind of flicking through it. It's like, what is this? And I start talking to them about my business plan, how this will work, how this will benefit the team and the company, etc. They weren't listening to it at all. And again, I put together the plan without much sleep, so I wasn't clear in my head what I was doing. So I physically went up to my executive director and I hold his hand down on the table. I was like, stop flicking it. And everybody shocked it, like it was radio silence in the room. And I was like, oh, like I was shaking. I was like, what am I doing? What have I done? And then I continued to speak, and I was like, okay, now this page is saying I'm going to bring in X amount of money within 6 month time frame for the company. Are you willing to give me the investment and the opportunity to do that? And finally, I got their attention, and they was like, okay, can you start again? And I was like, okay, let's start again. And they didn't really give me much time, and they jumped straight to the point. It was like, okay, Elton, it's fairly simple, your business plan about penetrating the Asia market. So everybody know about opportunities in Asia because there's a big market over there. And everybody have tried it. Our CBO, Chief Broking Officer, our CEO, and all the executive directors have tried it for the past 8 years. And how old are you? I was like, 23. I was like, what do you, like, who are you? Like, what do you think you have more advantage than those guys with decades of experience? And I went back to them and I was like, if you look at the business plan on page 14, I actually analyze what they have done in the past 8 years, what they've done correctly and what could have done better. And page 17 is something I have uniquely, because I can speak the language, I come from the background, I know the culture, I can do differently. And also, if you flip to page 21, there are something that you didn't ask. I have already considered the risk factors, the profitability, the culture, and how to penetrate into the market. They didn't turn it to page 21 and they closed the pack, and it was like, okay, how much investment you need, what sort of resources you need. We'll try to back you up. We'll give you 12 months time frame. Try it. If it doesn't work, we'll pull all the resources. And that was the moment. Again, it was a huge turning point to me, because I actually took the action again, reinforcing that confidence and driving my idea to reality.
So that, I mean, there's so much to unpick there. I mean, it's so brave to book the CEO and the directors in at the same time. I mean, it's so intelligent but so stupid all at the same time.
That's right. It could backfire
massively.
That's right.
I think the beauty of that is if you don't take that level of risk in life, then you end up just staying in the same place forever. And I think it's moments like that that you create your own luck. And by doing what you did, yes, it could have gone the other way, and it might have. There's an alternative universe out there where it didn't go to plan, but because it did, it set you on this trajectory that obviously you continued on to become the youngest director in a Fortune 500 company. So sort of getting to the next stage of that story then, how did you sort of penetrate into the Asian market? Obviously, it must have been successful in the end.
That's right. So everybody were looking down to me and the business plan at the time. And people even say, like, you're wasting the company's money, like paying for all these trips and flights. I still remember the first trip. It was one of the most nerve-wracking moments. So
Did you fly economy or business class?
And
what was the budget like?
It was economy at the beginning.
Okay, yeah.
That's right. And then gradually moving into business class, and the spending, like I shared in the PIN meeting as well.
Yeah.
So I remember the first time when I traveled to Shanghai, it was actually my first time personally in Shanghai as well. So because it's a Fortune 500 company, it's a global company, we have offices all around the world. So there are already offices in China. Mm-hmm. So I went to China. I arranged a meeting with our Chinese office, the leader in the offices, and trying to share my vision and how they can assist to the business plan, basically. So I went to Shanghai into the boardroom. I can still see in my head the visual. So it was a double door. I push open the double door, entering into the boardroom, and again it was so overwhelmed. My jaw dropped again, and I was like, "What have I done?" When I looked into the room, it was a long table with the group CEO of China and Asia sitting right in the center, and then pans out, we have Beijing CEO, Guangzhou CEO, Chengdu CEO, Shanghai CEO, all along the table against me. And I was like, okay. I literally froze at the door and start shaking hands with everybody. And the group CEO looked at me and she was like, hey, young man, where's this Elton guy? Like, we're about to start the meeting. I was like, I'm Elton, because they thought I'm the assistant.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm Elton. And she looked at me from the head to toe, back to head. It's like, you are Elton. You're too young for this, right? I was expecting somebody in the mid or late 40s to drive a project like this. But anyway, like, sit down and start your presentation. And and then I start the presentation. I explain what I'm trying to achieve and how they can assist with all the work. And they actually buy into the idea. And also they thought the headquarters in London is supporting the whole project. But in reality, it was just me driving, because it was a test from the headquarters to me anyway, like at the time, because I was having very limited resources at the time. But anyhow, like their support to me, that was very valuable. And of course, the project went really well. And don't get me wrong, like it went really well in a very short time frame because of everybody working so hard, and it wasn't easy at all. So I remember when I travel to Asia, every single journey or every single trip, I usually fly out on a Friday night. So because I don't want to take any annual leave, so I try to fly on the Friday night after work, rush to Heathrow, and then fly to Hong Kong first, because to visit my parents and my family in Hong Kong on the Saturday, on Sunday, and then on Sunday after midnight, I start packing up and go to the airport at 3 a.m. in the morning, get the first flight at 6, and then arrive Singapore at 9, and then have my first meeting in Singapore at 9 to 10, and then another meeting back-to-back, lunchtime with a client, and then afternoon meetings, dinner with another client. And then when I go back to the hotel, I have to summarize what happened today to put together an action plan and then send it back to London because of the time difference. So the London team can start work on the project and put together meeting material for me for the next day. So I go to bed around 1 or 2, 3 hours sleep, wake up at 4 a.m. in Singapore, catch the first flight from Singapore to Taiwan, and then arrive Taiwan at 9, and then Taiwan again. I'll be doing the back-to-back meetings, and then again the nighttime, sending back material to my London team, and then take the flight from Taiwan to Beijing, and then start to Seoul, Korea, Hong Kong, Philippines.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was traveling like that for 2 weeks non-stop. And every time when I come back to London, my body just collapsed. Yeah.
Wow. It, like, seriously, just like sleep for multiple hours then, I guess, after that.
That's right. I was literally living on adrenaline.
Wow. Jeez.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, I couldn't survive that just thinking about it. But I suppose when you're in the moment and it's in your own mind, I guess it was like life and death. This needs to happen. There's no other choice other than this to be successful. I suppose your body was just going into overdrive.
That's right. I remember I was in Guangzhou, one of the cities in China. I took a taxi back to my hotel, and the taxi driver have missed the turn. It was like literally a minute walk back to the hotel, the other way. And I asked the driver, can you stop at the front door? And the driver was like, no, I can't. I missed the turn. Like, if you want me to go back, I need to go on the highway, and it would take half an hour to go back. I was like, just go for it. Like, I just fall asleep on the taxi because I'm so exhausted.
Yeah. Jeez, wow.
And also because the company paid for the taxi fee.
yeah.
That's right.
Amazing. I mean, that must have set you up for, the property world, because I mean, it doesn't get much more extreme than that in terms of the work that really goes into delivering projects. But before we get to the property side of things, I suppose moving away from the brokering, should we sort of delve into that sort of story and the lessons that you learned? I think the humility that came from the outcome of that, I think, is a really key lesson.
Of course. Yeah, so as I said, like the project had a lot of success, and I was getting promotion every 6 months, basically, from junior broker to senior broker, associate director to director. And I was looking at my paycheck, basically, and I was negotiating hundreds of £1 million or USD deals for the company. And I look at my paycheck, it's missing a lot of the zeros. And so I remember I went to the vice CEO at the head of cluster, and I trying to negotiate a better remuneration for myself. And he was like, no, Elton, like you're still very young, and people have decades of experience. They need to get paid first. I was like, this is not right. Like, you should pay people by the results and value bringing to the company, not because of their age. But this is the trouble in this world. Like, usually people with more white hair get paid more. And also, what I don't like about is the corporate environment. A lot of the time when people say they have 30 years of experience, it's actually 1 year of experience repeated 30 times. Yeah. And the head of cluster, he buys into my idea, but he said, like, my hands are tied because this is the company culture. I have to honor that. And also, you are in a rather small department. We have to pay the people. It's like a waterfall. We need to pay the bigger department first. And then by the time when the pot reach you, it basically left with nothing. And then I asked him, okay, so what are the bigger department? And he mentioned construction, property, marine. So marine, we're talking about like oil tankers and cargo ships. Aviation, we're talking about fleet. So you can imagine like one Boeing 747 worth 100 million. And then we're talking about BA own hundreds of them. So they're massive. And I was in the manufacturing and risk management department. So manufacturing is rather small comparing to the bigger company and departments. So I got angry, furious, and I was like, okay. I went to my secretary. I asked her to book a flight to Seoul, to South Korea, and arrange a meeting with the few of the big guys. And then I told my head of cluster, I'm going to prove you wrong. So went out there, and at the time, still in my late 20s, and you still have that fire and arrogant, I'd say a little bit. And this trip, actually, I got really lucky in this trip, because when I went out there, I saw one of the. I managed to hook up with one of the largest conglomerate in Korea. So as we all know, like the three top family-run companies in Korea, we all know the big names, and that was one of them. And they were looking for a particular risk management product for the production line. Especially the top two was fighting all the time. That one manufacturing phones, we all know them, and the other one was manufacturing batteries, actually supplied to Tesla batteries and a lot of Apple's iPhone batteries as well. So they were fighting. They need a risk management solution, enable them to cover the backside, and able to drive productivity. So I got in the right time, spoken to the group CFO and the head of risk management, and they told me that this is exactly the product we need. And they signed a contract in one trip.
Wow.
And that was 30 million USD.
30 million.
30 million.
Wow.
That's right.
Wow. I bet that didn't reflect on your paycheck though.
No.
So what was I assume then you went back to your boss?
Yes. So I went back to London with the contract. I slammed it on his desk. I was like, look at that. One trip, 30 million. To be honest, that wasn't credit to me. It was credit to my Korean team. And also was credit to the luck, because they were exactly looking for the product and they were looking to deploy the 30 million contract. And they were looking to up that from 30 million to 100 million in 2 years' time. So we almost guarantee that will increase 3.5 times in 2 years. So I slammed it on this desk. I was like, look at this. Like, now I've proven my value to the company. Can I now have the fair remuneration? And he still said no, because hands are tied. I know you've done great things. The time will come. You have to be patient. You're still young. And I'm sure we will give you the right package at the right time. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, I'm not having it. And also at the same time, I was doing property on the side. So I thought to myself, if I delegate full time into property, where would it bring me? Because I still enjoy my career as a broker. I understand the head of cluster. He have his handcuff, mm-hmm. hands are tied, and I really appreciate my team. My manager at the time, she gave me tremendous support at the time. Otherwise, everything wouldn't be a success at the time. So I still enjoy the career, but I thought to myself, if I'm still young, I still have the time, let's go out and do something for myself. If it doesn't work, I can always come back, because I got my chartership now. I got my double chartership, ACI and CIP. And during this career, I got my legal certification as well. So I thought to myself, let's do it. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, I might regret something that I haven't taken the action on.
Just very quickly interrupting this episode, have you got a property deal in mind? Want to build or grow your portfolio but unsure how to obtain funding? No problem. At Roma Finance, they love to lend. The borrower first approach means Roma deliver flexible, tailored solutions that accommodate the diverse needs and experience of developers across residential and commercial projects. With a flexible criteria, Roma take time to understand each borrower's unique circumstances. Roma's attentive team are always equipped to handle and take on your requests. They will guide and support you throughout the property journey. Colleagues and customer relations are the beating heart of their business. Don't forget to explore Roma's website, romafinance.co.uk, for helpful resources, including articles and case studies to guide your financial decisions. Remember, Roma Finance love to lend. Your property goals are only a call or email away. Now back to the episode. Yeah, I mean, I did something similar, but that sort of mindset in terms of the worst case scenario, I just go and do what I was doing prior to getting into business. But I didn't quite have the illustrious career that you had in the city. But I think having that sort of mindset, I think you've got to be able to have that fallback in a worst case scenario, even though knowing what you've achieved, as a broker, there was probably no way you were going to go back to full-time work after, what you'd achieved. There was always, I assume, whatever you set your mind to, you're going to achieve that. So I think having that sort of mindset definitely helps you sort of get to that sort of next stage. So I think sort of leaning on that sort of next stage then, what were the adjustments like, moving from traveling around the world constantly, dealing with these massive numbers where to the point I assume it just makes all the smaller numbers look like complete irrelevance, and then adjusting to property where really the bottom line does matter, and these little detailed numbers, you're not dealing with 50 million deals, you're dealing with £50,000 refurbs, and where it's a different level, I suspect. How was that adjustment for you?
It was rather difficult at the beginning, because I remember like when I left the corporate environment and I went back to my ex-colleagues and the ex-business partner just for catch up. Basically, I wasn't looking for business; it was literally just catch up, and they didn't want to see me.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember I was emailing one of the lady. I worked a portfolio with her at the time, and we had a lot of success. And that Korean contract of 30 million, I actually placed it with her. And I remember when she got the contract, she was so excited. She was like, "Wow, Elton, we need to go to celebrate. Like, pick any restaurant, any Michelin star restaurant. I will pay for it. Like, let's go for a feast." And when I left the company, when I'm no longer in the position, I went back to various people, and they actually say, "How can I help you?" I was like, "What do you mean? How can I help you?" Like, no, nothing. I just want to catch up. I just want to chat. Like, we haven't seen each other for long, and we had a good time when we used to work together. Then I start realizing people work in a corporation. They have the mist of illusion. They think they are a giant, but they're not. They're sitting on a giant. That's why you are seeing broader vision. But once you left or leave the giant's shoulder, you are nobody. So I decided to do something for myself and my own name as well.
Yeah, I mean, that, I suppose, is that one of the key lessons I suppose you took away from that environment? Because I suspect, for civilians and normal people, including myself, that, haven't had that opportunity to work in the city and see that level. I hear about it. You see it on, American Psycho, The Office, not The Office. That's a complete opposite. Suits, that sort of cutthroat environment. But I only ever see it in movies, but obviously it's a true reality, which is completely alien to me because I've always kind of been in a collaborative environment and sort of like that business type environment. Property, I've only ever been in property. So that's the only sort of mindset and people that I kind of interact with. Whereas like this cutthroat city kind of corporate world is very much like about selfish being, I guess. Is that a good way to describe it?
I would say it's more down to business, more colder. If I say, definitely there are relationship to be made, and people do treasure the trust and the dignity how you do things as well. But then a lot of the time, because it's because when the corporation is too big, you start losing that human touch, because it could be me or it could be someone else dealing with this account today. We have a great relationship, but next year I might have moved on to another job or promoted, and my colleague or another person will take over the job. So it has to be a system or protocol to be followed. And people, the more you follow these protocol, it becomes a machine. So you become a machine working with a different machine. So they talked about protocol procedures rather than human touch, rather than I do this because of relationship.
Yeah, that makes sense. In terms of the transition into property then, what was the kind of reason behind that?
So I started my property journey when I was working as a broker. So I'm very, very lucky and very blessed that I have this auntie of mine. She is a property investor based in Hong Kong. And I remember one day when I was back in Hong Kong for Chinese New Year, she grabbed me to the side and we had a chat for a couple of hours. She was teaching me, like physically teaching me. She got up papers and started teaching me what is property investment and how does leverage work. What is a mortgage? What is a LTV? And she started going through all this with me. And at the time I was like, why are you, like, I'm not into property. Why are you teaching me this? This is no use for me. And she was like, you like a property is, everybody will somehow interact with property anyway. Like regardless, you're buying your own home, you invest in property or property as an asset class, you should know about it. So she took the initiative and taught me that. And that actually gave me the inspiration of starting my buy-to-let portfolio, because at the time I was making good salary and I got some saving on the side, and I thought, okay, like if there's such a thing called the true passive income, that could be the way. So I started looking into property, listening to her advice, and bought my first buy-to-let during my broker career. And I got really lucky again. Beginner's luck, I would say. It's actually ticked all the boxes about it's a BMV, the below market value. It's got scope to enhance. It was a motivated seller and all that, so on and so on. And I got myself that deal, and I thought to myself, property's so easy. Yeah, it's so easy to make money. It's so straightforward. You just buy it and then money starts flooding in. So let's do it again. And then the next deal, I made all the mistakes. It was a motivated buyer myself. I was so motivated to buy it. I offered over and beyond the asking price, and it wasn't a property that I can add any value. It was in the wrong location. It's got a tenant situ, so everything went wrong on that particular deal. And then I was back to the drawing board. I was like, okay, this is not that easy. I just got lucky first time. So I need to learn my lesson properly. So I started building the portfolio side by side to my broker career. And then again, I was working really hard. Again, every time I need to view a property or I need to, it's about time management and juggling with my time as well. I remember I was telling my boss that I'm going to see a client in my broking career, but actually I went to see a property. But then I worked overtime to make up with the work, and then I always ensure I finish the work before the deadline. I work on weekends, 7 days a week, all the time, juggling two career, basically. And to the point that my property portfolio income start getting par with my full-time income. And then I thought to myself, okay, so this property portfolio, I rarely spend any time on it. And this is my full-time job. We call it 996. So 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 6 days a week. So my 996 give me the same money. Like, what am I doing here? Like, what a trick, I must be missing something here. So what if I delegate my full-time into property? Where would that brings me? That ties along with the bottleneck of my broker career. That's why I made the decision to switch to property. Also, when you speak to people about what would you like to do with your money. For example, if you make money from your job, what would you do? I'll buy a house. Okay. If you win a lottery today, what would you do? I'll buy a mansion. Okay. If you sold a business, if you sell a business, like if you make £1 million, like what would you do? If you make money from investing, from stock and shares, what would you do? I'll buy a house. I'll buy this mansion. I'll create a HMO, whatever strategy. In properties, always link back to property. And I thought to myself, I'm already in property. I'm already in people's end goal. Like, why should I do something different from property? I should stay in property and try to make a career out of it.
That makes sense. So what are the biggest lessons that you sort of transferred from working as a broker into property?
Yes, it was very hard at the beginning. As you mentioned earlier, I was working in the city, dressing in a suit every day, a tie, dealing with business to business environment, and to the point when I was doing my first HMO development, I was literally living in a cleaning cupboard.
Wow,
that's right. It was a cleaning cupboard. It wasn't big enough under the building regs to rent it out. So the room was always vacant or with some kind of storage because we were not renting it out. And I wanted to save costs on the living as well. So I was living in the cleaning cupboard, and you can literally touch two walls with both hands. Wow. and that. Yeah. And I had like a tiny mattress for babies, like really stacked like two up.
Harry Potter style.
That's right. So I was living in that for just under a year, but definitely over 6 months. And waking up, going into the working environment with no colleagues. So it was very siloed experience because when you work in corporate, like you have thousands of people on the same floor, and you have colleagues to talk about the market gossip, who left this company, which company got acquired by which companies, and then what's the regulation changes, and you have the team to work together. And at the time, it was myself and my other business partners. They would scatter around. Again, we were trying to get out of our jobs. So I had a 6-month notice period. My other partners have 12, and another partner have 3. So we were getting out our jobs in different time. So it was very lonely. It was cold. You can imagine the UK British weather. It was wet. Early wake up, and yeah, dealing with bricklayers, skip, rubbish collecting people. It doesn't went well to me at the time, because at the time I was negotiating like £1 million of contract, dealing with business to business. We sit in a room with air condition and suit and tie, down to the muddy site, negotiating how much money should this skip to be taken out of. Like, can I save 30 quid on this one and 50 quid on that site? It was difficult, and I guess the lonely part hit me the most at that period, because it was mentally without any support at the time. So it was quite difficult.
I mean, I think that adjustment really, obviously, that kind of environment where, you're negotiating £1 million deals in an air-conditioned sort of meeting room, to then, negotiating with trades that...
That's right.
I've probably never worn a suit unless they've been to court type scenario. It's those two environments are strictly different in so many levels. But I suppose if you kind of break it down from kind of the skill set perspective that goes into that, I think that the transferable skills, obviously taking the risk with creating that meeting that gave you the leap to do what you did in the Asian markets. I think then, negotiating your remunerations, I think, all of those skill sets obviously fed into what you were achieving in property. but just in a different environment, which I suppose that adjustment for you has been clearly the difficult part, to go from air conditioned meeting room to a muddy building site. I mean, but I think it's credit to your journey in terms of what you've achieved in your corporate career, plus what you've achieved in property. I think it's absolute credit to you for sure.
Especially the two extremes as well.
Yes.
Because at my corporate journey, like at just before I left the corporate, like I was like everything was spent on the corporate card. I was flying business class all the time, and I remember when I traveled to Shanghai, I was living in the tower called Jingmou Tower, right next to the Shanghai towers, and I was on the 85th floor, overlooking the whole Shanghai, and that was my hotel room.
I think you can lose touch with the reality of money. That's
right.
I still think that's a thing in business, and because we're both doing multiple projects that cost multiple thousands of pounds, and spending £100,000 on a refurb, it's like that's part of the business. But then when you're looking at, like, I don't know if it's just me that does this, but I'll be looking at something that's £10 in the supermarket, and to me, like, my head doesn't register. It's £10 still a lot of money, but I just be like, oh, it's only £10. But it's still like a lot of money. So I presume adjusting from this credit card that was just money on tap to not having that anymore must have been an adjustment financially, to think, right, how do I manage my money to maximize, because I haven't got this bottomless credit card.
Because I remember, like, one Asia trip cost the company £30,000.
Wow.
One trip.
Wow.
Yeah, I was spending the including all the flights, the hotel, and all that. And but it's not about breaking that. It's about the reality check again, because after I left the corporate environment and you start to pay these expenses out of your own wallet, it's just unreal. Like, and also I realized I'm nobody. So once I left this facade or mask behind the corporate, the giant shoulder, I'm actually nobody. Nobody recognized me. Nobody would give me that. I don't have the credibility, just because my business card have the Fortune 500 name on it.
How do you think that's been from your own sort of lessons, like the humility that must have come from the realization? So this is a double-edged question, or double-pronged question. If you looking back at the person that you were when you were in your sort of 20s, what would you say to that individual to try and keep them grounded? Would you let them just be? Would you think, if I say this to them, they might not necessarily arrange that meeting? Where's the balance with being confident in your own ability and feeling like you are somebody, versus then the humility that comes? Because I think anyone that's successful needs to be able to be confident, needs to back themselves, needs some naivety, loads of tons of delusion in order to get to that, but also at the same time to grasp the humility that comes with that success. I think it's a difficult balance. So what lessons have you sort of gained from your approach to that, if that sort of makes sense?
Yes, I would say it's the gratitude and also staying honest and humble. That's really the key. And at the time, like during my corporate, like when I was mid-20s, I at one point I was so arrogant, and I started hitting a lot of brick walls and making a lot of mistakes. And I started realizing that as well. How people work with you, how people treat you, I can sense that becoming different, because I have this arrogant sense, because I think I'm somebody. And every time when I remember, like, there's one trip I went to China and Asia, went into these business meeting, I was like a little bit arrogant. I was saying, like, do you know who I am? Like, I'm one of the youngest director, like in the director level. I was selling this product. I was selling millions. Like, literally having that attitude to a client, and the client can sense that. And then, so they didn't buy it from me, and my feedback was, sure, it's fine. If you don't want to buy, I got plenty more people who wants to buy from me. And my team in China, my team in Asia, in Singapore, they sense that from me as well, and they start introducing less business to me, and then they start engaging me less, less involving me into the business plan and idea and growth, because I'm jeopardizing the relationship.
Where was the turning point for you?
I would say it's a self-reflective thing.
Did it happen gradually, or was this a moment that you thought, wow, who have I become, sort of thing?
Yeah, it happened in a sharp moment.
Right.
So it was the trip I had, and then I came back to London, usually for ill after that, and I was at home. I was thinking, like, why was this such a disaster this time? Like, it used to be great. I used to achieve milestone, and this time was just car crash. What happened? And I start reflecting, speaking to my team in Asia, and they start giving me some feedback, and suddenly have this moment. I was so glad I realized it sooner rather than later, and I said, no, this is not me. I cannot do that.
Do you think that you were a product of your environment with the person that you turned into?
Yes and no. So people say money or the exposure will only enlarge whoever you are. But at the same time, when money or the especially the global exposure I used to have, it kind of blinds you a little bit as well. So it's about taking off that mask and then stay true to yourself and being humble. Always approach everything with a humble mind and approach first.
Do you think it's a bit of a byproduct of rapid success, that arrogance, that?
Yes, I would say so. Yeah,
Sure.
Especially in an early age as well, because I haven't seen the world. I thought I was the top of the world, but like comparing to people on your podcast, they are incredible people. Like you don't know what you don't know. Like when you start meeting these incredible people, you will realize how small you are.
Absolutely. Yeah,
that's right.
I think it's interesting to hear the perspective, because I know people that have had rapid success, but it's changed them as an individual. Whereas the people that have gradually gained success, I think there's more realization of what that journey is all about. It's not about the £1 million. It's who you become in that process to get to that point. And I think those that get that rapidly, they miss those lessons because it seems too easy.
That's right.
You can't do it, but I can do it, and I've done it. So, that sort of self-confidence, arrogance comes from that environment. Whereas the people that have gradually gained success.
That's absolutely right. I building on your point is also the foundation. So you can have the knowledge foundation. When you grow too quickly, you're missing out the knowledge foundation, but also the mental foundation as well. Because if you grow too quickly, you haven't been driving the person you became long enough and able to cope with the relationship and also the gratitude and the appreciation and all that.
Absolutely. I think, I mean, I love the conversation. I genuinely do, because I think it's something that younger, ambitious people don't realize can happen, and that is that rapid success can make you into somebody that isn't sustainable from a long-term perspective, whereas the gradual, boring process that goes into success and generating wealth and investing and everything else that comes with that's what builds the callus, and that's what allows you to make better decisions in the long term. It's a lot harder because it's really boring doing the boring things consistently to try and get to where you want to get to. But I think it's super important to have that foundation, as you say, to then allow you to accelerate in a longer a longer term perspective, a bit like the tortoise and the hare scenario.
That's right. It's the mistakes you need to make. Like I always joke about with my wife as well. Like my wife had passed her driving test first time, and I passed it the third time, and I told her I'm a better driver. She was like, "Why?" Like I passed it the first time. I was like, "Because I've been through all the mistakes, and I passed it the third time, so I must be a better driver."
Absolutely. Well.
Yeah, we don't know. Debatable.
Should we ask your wife? Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think that is a great analogy, to be fair, because having those failures, and a bit like, your first property project went amazingly, and then the second one not so good, but you had that false sense of confidence from the first. I think, what do they call it? Murphy's Law, where
that's right.
Something that's going to go wrong always goes wrong. And I think people get that in property. They have, the first few projects are really, they do really well, and they think this is easy, and then the false sense of confidence comes in, and then they start to take bigger risks, take on more leverage, and then the mistakes start to happen, and then the bridging loan costs, and then the bankrupt. And I've seen that happen. I think COVID has made that apparent with people that were taking those high levels of risk, commercial vows and developments that might have been close to the edge already. I think it sort of filtered out these people that
that's right.
had amazing success over, pre-COVID, that were just doing projects bang, 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 bang. And now it's like, actual reality's kicked in with the risk that they were taking. And I think that's a mistake that people make in property. They get this false sense of confidence, and then they take risks.
And it's like everybody have seen this diagram of the iceberg with the bit of the tip, and then you got the huge iceberg underneath the water as well. I'm a big believer of overnight success is actually created by like decades of mistakes and experience, and you have been grinding through your decades of time, career experience, and then to one point that suddenly become a success. But people only focusing on your success story, and they talk about, you got so lucky, you're overnight success. But have you seen like the past 20 years I've been grinding? How many mistakes I've made in the past years, and close to bankruptcy or the stress, the sleepless night, and all that.
All in the name of building wealth.
That's right.
Great stuff. So to round the episode off very nicely then, what advice would you give to someone that was looking to take the leap into property?
Yeah, I think it's to keep things simple. This is also the direction of my company is going forward as well. So in our development journey, we had a lot of challenges, a lot of brick walls were broken, and I remember one site we have acquired the land, got the planning, and the planning got rejected. We have been back and forth on the appeal for over 3 years, and the land was on bridging as well. We've got a lot of investors to pay back, and the appeal, we finally won the appeal. The appeal came back successfully, but then the 3-4 years of bridging already eaten up all the margin. So we ended up having to sell the property to another developer, and just to break even after so many years. And what I found is one thing is great to make things complex because it looks great, and also it's also good to and satisfy the ego when you stand in front of the crane, the big construction site, scaffolding, and all that. But especially the area where I operate in central London, what I find is very different is the price ticket point are different. So what I now focus in my company to, they call the analogy called KISS, keep it simple and stupid.
Yeah.
That's right. So what we do, like I remember like in the PIN meeting, there was a person raised his hand and asked me the question, what's the best property strategy? And I answered him, buy to let. He was like, what? buy to let, like, I was expecting you to say HMO, SA, rent to rent, like a development. I was like, no, buy to let. I was like, how? So why? Because in property, there's two ways to make money: the rental yield and also the capital appreciation. That's ultimately the two area you can create values. And imagine if you can get a buy to let 30, 40, 50% below market value, that equivalent to increasing the margin of comparing to the HMO or development. So if you do, imagine like especially nowadays, if you want to do a development deal with all the red tapes, the seal, the S106, and the planning, new NPPF, and all that professional costs you need to pile in with planning consultant and architect, and you might get 30, 40% of your GDV as your margin, but it takes you 4 years to do it. So 40%, 4 years, 10% a year. So imagine I'm doing a buy-to-let, very straightforward, vanilla buy-to-let. I managed to negotiate 30% below market value. I make 30% upfront. And a 10% or some of our deals, we make 20% ROI on a buy-to-let. And that gives me 30, 40% in 3 months' time, because I just need to purchase it and rent it out with an estate agent, or we have an in-house management team. And that's it. It's so simple. We renovate it. We get 30% in 6 months or a year. And you make 10% a year with all the stress. I have to deal with all the uncertainty as well. Because again, planning law nothing is certain on the planning regime. So so that gives me the epiphany moment. It's like, I can actually do simpler stuff, make more margin and quicker turnaround and less white hair. And development-wise as well. So we grow a portfolio under our property fund, and also we have a development arm in our company. So the development arm, again, central London, because of the price point, I can just develop one house. For example, I buy a house, again, below market value. It's really down to the negotiator how you're gonna get the deal at the beginning, and that's really key and important. So imagine if I get the house 20, 30% below market value, a 1.5 million pound house, I get it for 1 or 1.2. I spend 100K to renovate it. I sell it for 1.8, 1.9. I made 400 to 500,000 pounds out of a deal. Comparing to doing 18 apartments or 16 apartments up north, making the same amount of money. The stress and the professionals and also the uncertainty you have to deal with compared to one house, one renovation. But you just need to do it really high spec. And you need to enter the right audience to buy your house. It's a different game to volume. So scaling up, have two ways to scale up. You either scale volume, quality or quantitative. So the volume is the quantitative or the quality. So what I decide to do, I would rather do less projects, one every quarter, but we make 40, 50% margin in every single project. But we only do one every quarter, rather than doing project every single month, but with a minimum margin. It works out the same. But the stress and this time you can spend with family and the lifestyle, I guess everybody goes into property. Again, one of the reasons is for lifestyle as well. And I guess that strike the balance of the two. So our company have the philosophy or the motto. We say that there's 3 areas. The first motto is legacy. We want to create something that we're proud of. I had this conversation with my business partner and also my wife. I was like, okay, if we build a portfolio of 100 properties, are we going to satisfy with that? And my wife actually asked me the question. It's like, so what's different, like, compared to what we're doing it now? We are doing the same thing, but just repeated repeating 100 times to get the same thing, but 100 times more. What we decided is not to do that. We would rather do something, leave a legacy. So something that, even not making so much money, it makes no financial sense, but it leave a mark. For example, like a skyscraper, or something that is architecturally dramatic, make an impact in the press, and something that actually we're proud of. We spend a year just on interior design, rather than we just do a cheap or like a basic interior design package and just copy 15 times onto all the development site. We want to do something that we're proud of, and when we look back in 10, 20 years time, we're still going to be proud of it. So it's something legacy. Secondly is sustainability. So when I say sustainable, it's not the ESG about renewable energy. It's not about that. It's about whether the project or the property is self-sustained. So is the rental income coming in? Is that going to be the contract we're winning? Is it renewable? For example, investor we're working with. We don't want to work with one-off investor. We want to work with investor, for example, institution investor or family offices. They will repeat their investment. We want to build the relationship which we can last for the next 10 years or so. So we will have this investment keep coming rather than a one-off. So the sustainability. And the third motto is choices. So we want to have a company that or business that we can make our own choice. We can decide what project we want to take on or what project we don't want to take on. We want to be having the say of what investor, who we want to work with. If we don't like this particular person, we don't want to work with you. Like, even if you're going to bring in a lot of business, we just want to have the choice to say no to people that we don't want to work with. So again, that motto is the vision of the company, and also is what holding the company core. Because every time when we do a project, we'll ask ourselves these three questions. Every new investor or new business partner we bring on board, we'll always ask these three questions. If it doesn't match with our philosophy, we're just not going to do it.
Amazing. So really stick to the boring stuff in sort of an overview perspective, and have a philosophy that you want to stick to for people that are looking to make that transition.
That's right. Sure. And then take massive action and use your unfair advantage as well. So you remember, like, during my time in corporate, like when let me share a little bit like about our culture. Like, you know, a lot of Chinese people. I can talk about Chinese people. I'm Chinese myself. You know, they want to merge themselves into the culture. They want to be part of this Western culture, and they're afraid to voice out their own culture or their advantage. And I actually did the reverse. I was so loud about, I'm Chinese, I can speak the language, I have the advantage, I understand the culture, so I should be the one who drive this Asia initiative. And I keep mentioning that to the senior management. You guys are all Western people. It's me that I can understand, I can relate to them, they will understand me. And also I'm junior as well, because every time when I remember one slide when I did my presentation to my senior management during my corporate time. There's one page, big words, I'm junior. And everybody laughed in the room. I was like you're junior, that means you can't drive anything. But no, like, it's the reverse. Because you guys are the top CEO or CBO, you guys are senior management. If you go to Asia, if you're trying to drive an initiative, you're top down. Your pressure is from the top downwards. And all the junior staff actually running out to see clients, they're not going to listen because they got squashed. But I'm junior, I can actually go down like a not a mole, but like I can
level
go to
playing field,
a lower playing field. Exactly. Yeah. So I go down from the bottom level to consolidate their ideas, to reinforce this idea. This is going to work. Like, you should trust them. and let's work together, because I'm junior, so I am in the position to go low to that playing field, to the people that is seeing client day to day, because I'm relatable. Imagine a CEO sit down to the junior sales and that you should do that. Like who are you to talk? Like, you're the CEO. Like, of course you're going to say that. But I'm actually the junior sales as well. So I'm junior broker. So they're like, okay, even if you are saying this, mate, this could work. And we kind of create this sandwich pressure to make the business plan a success.
Amazing. So many lessons obviously transferred across. I mean, it's great. I mean, it's been a genuine pleasure to sit down and sort of unpack some of that today and hear more detail around the story from, city broker to investor. And I really appreciate you coming on and sharing it.
Thank you very much for having me.
Pleasure. So if people want to get in contact, they maybe, they're a city broker themselves, want to make the transition to property, or they just want to reach out, how can they go about doing that?
Of course, yeah. I'm happy for anyone to connect with me. So I'm on LinkedIn, and our website is www.founting.co.uk, or my LinkedIn, Elton Leung, Leung, or Instagram, Founting Properties.
Cool, amazing. We'll put all the details in the show notes as well, so people should be able to
appreciate
it. Great stuff. Thanks,
you.
Elton. Thank you very much for tuning in today. Obviously, a lot to unpack there with Elton, moving from city broker into full-time property, and certainly some lessons that he's very kindly shared today. If you've made it this far, as I always say, please do like and subscribe, and do leave a review on the audio version. It helps us to continue to get amazing guests like Elton today. We'll see you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.